Welcome, Reino Gevers, a South African pilgrim and writer about the Camino de Santiago. He's a pilgrim and writer, of course. And it's a pleasure for me to have you here talking to me about the Camino. That is something special for us both. And thank you so much for doing this with me. And I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, Reno, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you came to know about the Camino?
Well, I was going through a pretty bad patch in my life. I was living in Germany at the time. I was a journalist at a news agency. We were going through a lot of financial stresses and work stresses at the time. And I read Paulo Coelho's book, The Pilgrimage. And that was my first little thought about, let's try this. Um, it inspired me to look closer at the Camino. And then a friend who had walked the Camino said, I think the Camino would be good for you. I didn't really trust myself, so I just did a little section from Sarria to Santiago, just to like get to know it. I thought I would never make it because I wasn't in a good physical shape at the time, and something happened. I mean, that is, that last bit is very mass touristy, and it's lots of people walking it. There's buses dropping people, and uh, uh, but something happened, and I said, look, I got to do this again. So the next year, I did it again. This time, walking 500 kilometers from. From the Camino Aragonés to Burgos. And that was my first real pilgrimage experience. And from there on, I've practically been walking, as you say, yourself every year as a kind of dedication to the Camino, because every time something happened, something changed in my life, something for the better. First of all, it's the people you meet on the Camino.
Yeah.
And then immersing yourself into this ancient route which pilgrims have walked for centuries. There's something mystical, there's something mythological about it that you can't really explain. A lot of the things that changed in my life actually happened weeks and months after
The Camino.
walking.
The Camino. For me, both. For me, is the same. So, just on your first Camino, walking from Sarria to Santiago, where or when did you realize that the Camino was and is something special?
I met a guy from Scotland. This was on my second or third day of walking, and he had walked all the way from Scotland through France, and that's where we met. And he said his wife had just died some months prior, and it was his way of dealing with his sadness and his loss. And although this guy had really gone through quite a tough time in his life, I realized, look, the people you meet here um, have had a lot harder time than you yourself. So, in just talking to people like this guy, I'll just call him Eddie, something happened to me as well. And he said to me, you got to walk things off. That was like a key expression. He said, you got to walk things off that burden you, that are a load on your shoulders. And that, I think, is very much one of the Camino experiences. If you're going through a bad time, or you're looking for a new direction in your life, just go and take a walk on the Camino, walk it off, and find your answer.
That's amazing. Now I remember a story that happens to me, but someone told me. Like I said, before my first Camino, I was working on Barcelos, and until 2019, I don't know the number from last year, but at least 70% of the pilgrims are Germans. The Germans love the Camino Portuguese.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks before I start my Camino on bike, I was just talking to pilgrims. I was just asking and searching for experiences, pilgrim experiences. And in one of that pilgrims, I talked to this old German woman, more than 70 years old, and she told me that the reason for is to walk the Camino was so 20 years ago, me and my husband decided to walk the Camino, and 3 months ago he passed away. So I decided to do the Camino to honor him. And for me, my way to say thank you to these pilgrims is just to tell them something, and that's something. I don't know. Do you know the story of Santo Domingo de la Calzada? Do you know that story?
Yes.
Do you know that story?
Yes. Yeah.
So, do you know the one of the most known Portuguese symbols is
The
galo,
rooster.
the rooster? Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the rooster. His story is about Barcelos. It's called the Galo de Barcelos.
Yeah.
And actually, the story it's really connected to the Camino because the story is the same. It's the same story.
Yeah. Wow.
It's the same story. So my way to say thank you to the pilgrims that I was just telling them the story about the roasted chicken, and they start to sing and dance and okay. And in that pilgrim, I was approaching him to this very known mark of the Portuguese Camino in Barcelos, and I explained the story to this woman, and suddenly he starts to cry and hugging me and crying a lot over over myself and okay, what is happening? And that was the moment when she told me that she was doing the Camino to honor um, his husband, and I don't know, it was so special for me to hear that story from this girl. So our question now, even I can't I can't answer that, but in 2019 I was able to walk the Primitivo, and after a few first bad days, not physically but mentally, I was struggling a lot mentally in that first days of the Primitivo Camino. But after the fourth or fifth day, I met these three amazing pilgrims. They all the three of them from Spain, but from different areas of Spain. One from Sevilla, the other one from Valencia, and the young girl from Badajoz. And after we met, we made a group and walked the Camino together, and it was so special, it was so magic. Walking with these persons, with these pilgrims, and when in Melilla, it's where the Primitivo joins with the French Camino for celebrating almost being in Santiago. We went to this pulperia, the famous one in Melilla, Ezekiel, I guess.
Yeah.
So I went there. We of course eating the pulpo, eating some drinking some bottles of white wine. So after that, mainly me and this young girl were like a little bit of touch on wine, a little bit of drunk, and that was in mid-August. And I don't know, in Malay there was like stage, this stage for people to sing and to dance. So me and the girl, we went up to the stage and started dancing, and it was so special. It was one of my best moments on the Camino. So the question, if you could go turn back time and go back to your best moments on the Camino, which moment you chose?
Oh, there are so many, really so many. Uh, you just mentioned the Primitivo, and one of those moments is uh, I had a bad day. You go through bad days on the
Yeah.
Primitivo because it's physically quite tough. So in the morning, I wasn't feeling well, both physically and emotionally. It was quite rainy, and so I started my walk up the mountain, and about in the rain. It was about 2 3 hours of walking in the rain up the mountain, and slipping and sliding in the mud. And then suddenly the sky opened, um, and I saw the clouds beneath me. And in the distance, you could even see the ocean. Um, so it was just physically and emotionally quite an exceptional experience. Being between like two worlds. There was like the sky, the earth below, and then the clouds below, and then the blue sky above. And the walk then was so much easier because I'd literally reached the mountaintop without realizing it.
Yeah.
And that feeling of exhilaration, something like that,
Yeah,
exactly.
something like this.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, but the sky was really crystal blue, and you could still see the moisture in the grass with the rainbow colors illuminated in the grasses, and then the cows nearby with their bells. Um, and then I was just very, very thankful and grateful for that special moment, and I realized, wow, yes, beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
That this is what the Camino is about. You go through that bad patch. They call that the path of crucifixion. You
Yeah.
you have to go through that first. The valley of death. Confront the valley of death, those dark moments, in order to appreciate the resurrection, the light, um, and the wonders of the Camino. That's just one experience that just comes to mind. And then, of course, the many miracles I experienced 2019 when I was a hospitaliero in Najera in the municipal alberge.
That's
Um,
amazing. You
it
know,
was quite an amazing experience. Also, my idea of giving something back to the Camino, just talking to those pilgrims every night who'd come in and relate their experiences and why they were walking the Camino. That in itself, that whole 2 week period that I was a hospitaliero, was a very deep experience, and I also met my my partner there. We've been together since. She's from the UK, and we both Camino addicts.
that's
So
amazing. So, I have like this. For me, it's magic. For me, it's a miracle. One of many. But let me tell you one story about that Camino, Vata Primitivo. Um, walking to Santiago on the stage, arriving Santiago, we slept at a place called Albergue Rural Astral. It's in Santa Irene, um, and then we went to to Santiago, and on at Monte do Gozo, I stopped there. We stopped there, take some pictures on the monument, then on the statue of the pilgrims a little bit more down, and on the church on the small chapel there, um, I I stamped my credential. Uh, then we went to take the pictures there, and then to Santiago. When arriving in Santiago, so celebrating, crying myself out like every time, I am there laying down, just seeing the cathedral, and I decided to take a picture of my credentials. Actually, I had two pilgrim passports. The first one was full. I filled when arriving in Lugo, and then in Lugo I bought another one, and then stamped at the first stamp was the cathedral of Lugo. So I decided to take off the pilgrim passports, and I realized that I had lost one of them. So I wasn't nervous there. I was okay. I was. Then we stayed there for like half an hour, 1 hour, and then to the pilgrim's office to wait for the Compostela. But it was like midsummer, August, lots of pilgrims in 2019. Um, so we went there. We take our number, and then we had to wait like I don't know 3 hours or whatever. So we went to the albergue. I was in a different albergue from the other people that shared the commune with me, um, and the people of that albergue, I know them. There are I can they are friends of me. So I went there. I take a shower, then I explain them what happened to me. So they have, if you don't mind, we can drive you to Montegozo and see if are there. Okay, I had time. They drive me to Montegozo, but it wasn't there. And then someone they asked me, they told me, uh, you may try to call the pilgrim's office if if maybe some pilgrim found it and left it there. So I have done it. I called it, but nothing. Okay. Then went to the pilgrim's office for pick up the Compostela. They gave me the Compostela, and that was it. That's okay. Uh, I stayed 2 nights in Santiago, and after the first night, these people that shared the Camino with me on the day after we arriving, they went off. One of them went to do the Camino hasta Finisterre. The girl went to home. Um, so in that day, I was alone. In the afternoon, I met again with two other pilgrims of the Camino Primitivo, and actually it was their first Camino, and they asked me for how to go for the Compostela, and then how to go to the pilgrims mass. So I had time. I was alone, um, so I helped them. They were like more or less of your age. um, so first we went to the pilgrim's office. I explained the process to them, um, and one time there I asked, okay, did you know if someone had left here a credential, lost credential? What is the first step? The first step is the logo cathedral, but nothing. There was nothing. Okay, in that time I said, okay, no worries. You have the Compostela, you have the first pilgrim passport, and that's it. So then to the pilgrim's office with this with these two pilgrims. On the day after, again, it was on a Saturday, 16th of August, I guess. I was alone, and I had my breakfast in a bar really near the cathedral, and then I was having it in my breakfast. Then I decided to go into one last time into the cathedral, and I was in line to hug the saint, to hug Santiago, and in front of me there was like this group of uh, Portuguese pilgrims, and for me that was nice because I came to from the Primitivo, and in like 15 days I did not speak Portuguese, just English and Spanish, nothing more. Uh, and I just saw one of his T-shirts, and uh, in one of and on their T-shirts there was like this image of Our Lady,
Yeah.
and it says like in Portuguese or in Spanish it's Nuestra Señora da Graça. It's something like Our Lady of Grace, and the image of Our Lady of Grace, it's one of the, how can I put it this to you? It's one of the patron of my town, and they were from a different town, on mid Portugal. I'm on north. They were from the center of Portugal. I live in at north of Portugal, and that for me was special. I saw this. I talked to them, and actually it was their first Camino too, and then the Portuguese Camino from Tui to Santiago. And after and talking to them, they asked me if I can help them to go for the Compostela, and then if I can go and walk them to the bus station. So I did that. First, we went to pick up the Compostela, and then when I explained the process to them, and actually I don't know why, but I entered with one of them. I entered on the pilgrim's office, and there was like this old guy, really white hair, from the Order of Malta, and he asked me. He saw me. He didn't see a credential or anything in my hands, and he just, okay, what are you doing here? I don't know for. And I asked, so sorry, sir. um you for purpose, or I don't know, you may not know or may know about someone that left here a pilgrim passport. I lost mine, and I don't know what it is. May someone bring up and left here. But this old guy didn't know. But this guy went to ask a different guy on the pilgrim's office, and this other guy, he told me, I don't know if it's true or not, but I may hear something about pilgrim passport was left on the local police, and the local police is just there like 50 meters or 100 meters from the pilgrim's office. So I went there running, and it was my credential.
Well, there you go.
It was my credential. So that was really special for me. Can you tell us some stories about your Camino, please? That you can remember.
Well, there's so many stories, especially those fascinating stories of the people I walked with.
Yeah.
On my second Camino, there was, for instance, a an elderly German lady. We sat down. We had a cafe con leche together, and I was about to put some sugar into my coffee, and she said, "Don't do that. Sugar is not good for you. I'll tell you why." She said, "I had cancer." And that was the reason why I walked the first time on the Camino. And I was so weak from all the chemotherapy that I fell and hurt myself. And then other pilgrims had to carry me to the village. and the villagers then found a healer in the town to come and look at her. And the healer just asked one question. He said, ask yourself why you fell. If you know the answer, you will be able to walk again tomorrow. So she spent the whole night contemplating on why she fell and why she stumbled and fell and didn't have the energy to keep on walking. And she said she did find the answer. The answer was to leave her very dysfunctional marriage. She'd been married to her husband for, I think, 40 years or something. And she made that decision that night to file for divorce, to leave her husband. And that was her first step of healing. And when I met her, she told me the story. And it was actually her last spurt of life to do that first Camino. And she said, look, the doctors told me I had about a few months to live and I should get my act together and sort out my life. And this was 3 years ago, and she looked pretty healthy. She changed her life completely. Just one of the many examples of people who then turned their life completely around after walking the Camino. And I can say very much the same about my life, because I left my job, I left the town I lived in. I'm now living on a beautiful island of Mallorca, and I'm in a different relationship. I'm doing following my passion. I'm writing. I'm mentoring people. I'm doing health consultancy. I've all because of the insights I gained while walking. There's a saying that when you walk, you get inspired. And if you, this is actually what my book Deep Walking is about. Deep walking for body, mind, and soul, which is
we're already getting there. We're already getting there. Okay, don't worry.
It's all about all the great artists, writers, musicians, poets actually spent a lot of their time walking to get inspired.
Yeah, that's really nice. Now let's getting more into you and what are you doing right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast, Living to Be?
Just repeat that. I just quite didn't get it.
Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast, Living to Be?
Oh, the podcast. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. This is a podcast that I do in combination with my blog. It's about becoming your authentic self. When you walk, you go through the stages of, first of all, you have to become humble. One of my fellow pilgrims said to me on my third Camino, American pilgrim I met, he said, if you don't become humble, the Camino will force you to become humble. And in essence, it's about letting go of the ego, the images, wanting to perform and do your 25 or 30 kilometers a day. You have to become humble. You have to go into humility to discover your own true self. And this was the idea I had with this podcast, to inspire people not only to walk. There's many ways of walking, and a lot of people in the world cannot travel at the moment. They cannot go on and do the Camino in Spain. But there are ways of going for a walk nearby in your area, in your surroundings, and discovering your true self. And this podcast is about inspiring people not only to walk, but to become their authentic self, because I really believe that every person, every individual has been born to become the true self. From the day you were born, you are meant to become your true self, and the whole of life is a process of becoming your true self. And the Camino is symbolically this walk into your true self.
That's it's really amazing. So, like you said, Deep Walking, it's your book about the Camino. But before we talk about the book, why you decided to write about the Camino?
There are so many books on the Camino. I mean, if you just go onto Amazon, I mean, there are hundreds of books on the
Hundreds.
Camino, and lots of pilgrims. You know, they keep a journal. They write about their daily experiences, and I looked a lot at I looked at a lot of these books, and I found that a lot of or most of these books are actually a recollection of the pilgrimage walk that each individual is making, the recollection of what happened to them while walking. And I found that something was really missing in a lot of these books. You know, going from A to B and then from B to C, from D to F, and so on. I thought, look, we need something to inspire people about what the Camino is really about. So the first one I did was Walking on Edge, which is actually a compilation of different characters in one character from the different Camino walks I did, going more into the spiritual aspect of the Camino.
Yeah.
You know, and then that again, from that emerged my nonfiction book, Deep Walking for Body, Mind, and Soul, which is more a self-development book, with each chapter telling the reader of how walking can be used as a method to find alignment with your spiritual self and aligning body, mind, and spirit.
That's really, really, really beautiful. Tell us a little bit about Deep Walking, about your book.
Well, Deep Walking, which was published by Morgan James last year, August, takes the tack of I call the first chapter "Go Lean, Go Far."
Yeah.
That was my first lesson from the Camino. The very first lesson of my first walk on the Camino was you have to let go of excess baggage. You know, you recognize newcomers on the Camino very quickly. They have too much stuff, too much rubbish in their backpacks, and they think they need it all. So after about the second or third day, you find them disposing a lot of these things, and sending stuff home, or just throwing it away, or giving it away, in order to keep on walking. And this is very much an analogy of life, because you don't need much to be happy. You don't need all those things you think will make you happy. That's all external, because we own
I used to say, sorry,
mindset, you know,
I used
that external things make us happy. They don't.
I used to say, and not just me, many people, that while walking the Camino, our backpack is our home. We if you just need what we have in a backpack to live for a month, it's just that. It's just that.
Yeah. And isn't it amazing? I mean, I'm sure you've had this experience a lot on the Camino. you meet university professors, successful business people, you meet students, you meet wayfarers, you meet um, homeless people. From all walks of life, you meet people, but on one level, you're all the same.
You're all the same. Yes.
You're a pilgrim, and all you have with you is a little backpack with your essentials, your toiletry things, your little hand towel, your toothbrush, and your underwear and your shirt and trousers for the next day. That's basically it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, Reno, if you had the opportunity to talk to a historic person, a historic pilgrim, or a person of interest of the Camino, or someone you already met and you want to have the opportunity to talk to, which person you choose?
The person I would choose to walk with.
Yeah,
Uh, I had a very inspiring walk with a good friend of mine on the Camino del Norte, and then the coastal route
yeah,
from Bilbao to Santiago, um, which I think was such a nice walk because we've been friends for so many years. Um, I walked with my partner. I walked with a group. I accompanied a group, guided a group on the Camino. I walked most of my Caminos alone, but I would recommend to most pilgrims spend time really walking alone. Because if you walk alone, you discover your authentic self. If you walk with people, with other people, you converse with people, you talk to people, but you're not really within yourself.
yeah.
If you walk alone, you go into sync with your natural surroundings and with the whispers from nature, from the universe. This essential experience, I would really recommend for every pilgrim. Try and spend at least part of the day
Alone.
of your pilgrimage walking alone.
That's really, really, really nice advice. And for me, I just I start every day alone. I share the Camino with some pilgrims more than the others, but at least I need always that just me time on the Camino. Um, and that's regarding the next question. So we're almost finishing here, but one last question to you, okay, Reno? Um, what advice can you give to someone that will start the Camino for the first time?
I would say don't spend too much time thinking about whether you can do it or not. Just do it. And don't do too much the first 2 days. Start slowly. Don't do more than 10 kilometers on your first day. I think this is the mistake most new pilgrims make. They try and do a long stretch on the first day from Jean-Pierre-le-Port. They go up that mountain, all that stretch. I would always say, look, if you don't feel physically fit enough, don't do that one. Go on the Portuguese one. Do the one from Porto to Santiago, which is a beautiful walk. It's a fairly easy walk. It's a fairly flat, straight country, beautiful villages you go through. Do that one before you do the Frances.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wait, no. We are over here, but one last thing. Thank you so much. It was amazing. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for doing this with me. It was amazing talking to you. Um, and I guess we will help many pilgrims with this chat. And
I hope we can inspire many more pilgrims to walk, Guillermo.
yeah,
It's
And
what we've experienced. We want to share with other people. We want to inspire other people to walk, because I think it really does help to change your life for the positive.
and I hope to see you someday on the Camino to pay you some beers.
Thank you, Guillermo.